Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we are talking about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Because we've been getting a little bit of news on this game and we're about to get a whole bunch more. So PAX West is happening this weekend, and at this event there are going to be playable demos for both Mario Party and Echoes of Wisdom, so we're going to be getting more news on this game very soon, and yeah, we'll be breaking it down and analyzing it here once that information has been made public. But if you find yourself with the opportunity to go to PAX, they are actually handing out this Princess Zelda pin, so make sure to get it if you're going to be there, it looks really cool. But also we're hearing that there are going to be previews coming out for Mario Party and Echoes of Wisdom really soon, in the beginning of September. So we might have even more to talk about regarding Echoes of Wisdom next week. But even in this past week, we've been getting a few interesting updates. So on Nintendo of UK's Twitter account, they have put out 4 different clips of the different areas of Hyrule that are showing just a little bit more than what we have seen before. So today what I'm going to be doing is showing you these different clips and also pointing out some interesting discoveries I've made that might be hinting at some pretty cool things, like some big boss fights later into the game. But before going forward, let me ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So the first clip we'll be playing here is from Jabul Waters. Now with this clip, I didn't notice that much more, but there was something that became fairly apparent to me. There's a lot of fish in the waters. I'm willing to bet you're going to be able to catch these fish. And perhaps you'll even be able to create one as an echo and use it as bait for other enemies. Or perhaps not even just enemies, but just normal animals in the overworld. But something else I noticed in the water is this big rupee. And I find this interesting because in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which Echoes of Wisdom seems to be sharing a lot of traits with, you can't just find rupees out there hidden in plain sight. You have to beat them from an enemy or sell something valuable to actually acquire rupees. So to see an actual rupee here, it kind of reminds me of some prior older Zelda games, and well, looks like we're going to need to collect some valuable rupees if we go into some hard to reach places. With this next clip here, I want you all to pay close attention because there's something here that I think has a pretty big implication for what else we'll find in the game. So obviously this footage is from the Gerudo Desert, and most of it again is what we've seen beforehand, but there is a little bit new. Did you notice that scorpion-like enemy? That appears to be this game's version of the Arakas, which is basically this scorpion-like enemy from Skyward Sword. But you see, what's interesting about the Arakas being in this game is that it might be suggesting a future boss fight. So in prior Zelda games, there have been simpler enemies that we'll find in either dungeons or the overworld that are hinting at a boss from that particular region. And in Skyward Sword, there are Arakas that made it to be over 1,000 years old, and those would be these giant big scorpion boss fights known as the Moldarok. So with us seeing Arakas being brought back in Echoes of Wisdom, I'm now kind of thinking, could this be a hint at Moldaroks coming back as boss fights in Echoes of Wisdom, or at least a boss fight? And I think this could be a possibility, but I just mentioned boss fights as in plural. The reason I said that is because in Skyward Sword there were multiple Moldaroks. And I'm not trying to say that we have evidence here that there are going to be multiple Moldarok fights, but it's possible. What I'm actually thinking though, is that maybe, like how in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom there are a variety of overworld bosses, perhaps they'll be introducing some of those in this game. We haven't seen any yet, but there's still a lot to be shown about this game, and there could be some overworld bosses. That'll be very interesting to see. Now let's check out this clip of the Eldin volcano region. So with this footage, we get a better look at the torch slugs and also these lava-based octoroks, it looks like. But what I'm noticing here, it's something we've seen before, but now I'm thinking about it more so, are these moldorms. So moldorms, like Arakas in prior games, have been around and have been simpler enemies, but there is a bigger, deadlier version of them that functions as a boss fight. Could these moldorms be also hinting at a boss fight of a giant moldorm later into the game? I think it's certainly a possibility. And considering the small possibility that they might introduce some overall boss fights here, what if there are giant moldorms higher up the mountain? That would be very cool. Now, something else I noticed about this footage is that we see what appears to be the easternmost part of the Goron village. And here we can see what appears to be a younger Goron who has a brother who was talking about playing this gliding game from a prior trailer, which I think might have something to do with that person that's gliding in this key art here. But as I said, this appears to be within the Goron village. If you look at those metal fences in the corner, that appears to just be an extension of the metal fences we see for this part of the village, so I think it's just a few feet to the right, basically. And actually, if you look at this clip here where we can see the Goron village at an angle, you can see the lower level below the fences where there is a hot spring and we can see the gas coming up from it. So I'm thinking it's pretty likely that I'm spot on here. But let's now move on to the final and what may be my most favorite clip of these four, the Faron wetlands. So from this footage, I noticed two cool things. One, we get a look at the Deku Babas. Now, these Deku Babas look like Deku Babas from prior Zelda games. But here's something that's interesting. In the first trailer, we saw Princess Zelda use an echo of a Deku Baba, except it was a gold Deku Baba, which do exist in the games, but what I'm noticing here is that it looks pretty different. It's not just color-based. And at first I thought maybe this is just the Echo version, but then I took a look at the Echo version of the Bokoblins, and it appears like they might be slightly changed in color, but only subtly, not something so significant like an entirely different color, and also an entirely different texture. So really what I think we're looking at here is a different variant of the Deku Baba. And I don't think that's really that much of a stretch because we've already seen different variants for other enemies in this game, like the Bokoblins for example, we've seen different colors, and also the octoroks. But it is interesting to see just how different these Deku Babas can be. Now something else that's worthy of note is this singing frog here. This singing frog feels kind of like a callback to the singing frogs from both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. There are these minigames where you can play your ocarina with these frogs. Might there be some sort of musical instrument or way to conduct music in this game? Considering how Zelda can copy a whole bunch of different items, maybe she'll be able to create an echo of a musical instrument and be able to do something with this frog. It seems pretty plausible to me. And if we are to have some sort of frog singing minigame in Echoes of Wisdom, we could probably put this under an additional Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask reference. A couple weeks ago we talked about how it looks like Echoes of Wisdom has a variety of them, so this is just another one, and maybe it does sort of fit the whole argument that Nintendo might be trying to build up to something here relating to Ocarina of Time a bit later down the road. But those are all of my thoughts and ideas from these 4 different clips of footage we've gone over this past week from Nintendo's UK account. What do you think? Did you notice anything else worthy of note? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.